Now suppose let us write in both frame. For L frame, we know that, let us consider M1, M2 and M3. Okay, just let us consider this. This is X, Y and Z. M1 is at R1 vector, this is at R2 position vector, and this is R3. Let us consider 3 particles for now, or we can take n particles. Let us take n particle, and this is Mn at Rn. Okay, so we have n particles here, and suppose this is moving with u1 velocity, this is u2, this is u3, and this is u4. Direction of these are not same, right? I'm not assuming anything. So in L frame, we can write at velocity of center of mass as m1 u1 plus m2 u2 so on mn un upon m. Also R center of mass as m1 r1 plus m2 r2 so on mn rn, sorry, upon m. Okay, this we can write about the center of mass. But when we see the C frame, in C frame, R of center of mass became what? 0, because we are sitting on the C frame, right? What is, if we are seeing from the C frame, we are sitting on the C frame. So position of center of mass from us is 0 if you are sitting on the center of mass. So what does it mean? Its velocity of center of mass is also 0. So we can say that momentum of the center of mass, what is momentum of center of mass, is m. Let me write it capital M, that shows total mass, into mv center of mass is also 0. That's why it's also called a zero momentum frame, that we have already discussed. Also its center of mass velocity is 0, so we can consider it as inertial frame also, right? But whatever we have discussed above. Now let us analyze about the, let us try to find out the center of mass, sorry, position of the particle with respect to center of mass, right? So let us write down the position in C frame. Suppose R1 with respect to center of mass will be what? R1 minus R center of mass, that we have discussed above also for 2 particle. For n particle we can write it down, m minus what? It will be m1 r1 plus m2 r2 so on mn rn upon total mass m. Okay, so what is this? This is basically what? M equals to what? m1 plus m2 plus m3 up to mn. Just try to put this value here. What you will get, m1 and r1 will cancel out each other. Okay, and what we left with, suppose when you multiply this, it will become m1 r1 plus m2 r2 so on mn, oh no, sorry, this is r1. If you find any mistakes or any calculation error in my lecture, just write it down in mail so that I can uh, make it clear in the next video. Okay. Also, one more thing I want to say, that I make the video premiere on YouTube for the mechanics module as of now. Later, it will be also premiere on our website or app. So you should watch the video on that timeline also. It will give you a feeling of the classroom lectures, right? Okay. So when we multiply this m with this will turn out n m1 r1 plus m2 r2, so on, mn rn will be there upon total mass m. So we can write it as, see, m1 and r1 will cancel out, m2 r1, and here is what, r1 minus r2, mn r1. So let me write it down. M2, if we take r1 minus r2 plus m3 r1 minus r3 up to so on, mn, okay, mn r1 minus rn upon total mass. So this is what r1 in center of mass. Maybe you think that this is very complicated to write, but it will make our calculation very easy in coming examples or illustration. Okay, so if it will be a two body problem, then it will be very easy to identify, right? We will also see about reduced mass concept in next lecture. Just try to figure it out. This is what, this is r1 minus r2. This is the position vector of 1 with respect to 2. This is the position vector of 1 with respect to 3. This is position vector of 1 with respect to n. So you can write it down like this also, that, sorry, r1 with respect to center of mass is equals to, so we don't have m1 here, we will have m2 only, m2, and it is what, r1 minus r2. So you can write the r12 vector plus m3 r13 vector, so on. This is mn r1n vector upon total mass. So it will be more easy to understand and write. Okay, so in this way we can deduce the position of any point with respect to center of mass. Now let's find out the velocity. Okay, velocity in C frame for any particle. So just differentiate the above. So you will v1 with center of mass, you will get what, m2 v12 plus m3 v13, so on, mn v1n upon total. Also, if you want to find the momentum in C frame, you can write the position, velocity, and momentum of any particle. I am just writing for one particle only. You can write for any particle, it will follow the same, right? It will follow the same. Okay. Also, we have studied the property of collinearity, sorry, above. So what? Just we have to multiply this by m1. So p1 with respect to center of mass, that is what? m1 v1 center of mass, right? Is what? Is you have to multiply this with m1, m2 v12 plus m3 v13, so on, mn v1n upon total mass. So when you multiply m1 with v12, it will give you what? Wait. Okay. So it will give you m2 into p12 plus m3 into p13, so on. Mn p1 and momentum with respect to the n frame upon m. So this will be the momentum of a particle with respect to the center of mass. Okay. Again, I'm telling you that if you wish to calculate these terms, right, for a two-body problem, it will become very easy. We are generalizing here for 1, 2, 3, n number of particles, right? Also, we can write the kinetic energy. C frame. You can also write the kinetic energy in C frame. How we can write it? Just see. Kinetic energy of particle. Wait. Let's take T as kinetic energy. So kinetic energy in L frame is what? Half m v1 square. We can write v1 we can write v1 as v1 center of mass wait yes, this is the right way to do, plus v center of mass whole square. Okay, so what will we left with? Half m, here what? v1 center of mass whole square plus v center of mass whole square plus 2 v1 center of mass into v center of mass. Okay, this is what? Half m v1 center of mass whole square plus half m v center of mass whole square plus m into v1 center of mass into v center of mass. Okay, more precisely it will be a dot product, right? It will be a dot product. So one particle we can write in this way. Let's assume for n particles. Okay, let us assume this for n particles. So we just have to make the summation. So T of the whole particle in L frame, which turns out to be what? Summation half mi vicm whole square. Okay. Okay. Plus summation, sorry, I equals to 1 to n, you can write here. Here I equals to 1 to n half mi, and this is v center of mass whole square already there, plus summation I equals to 1 to n m I vi center of mass dot v center of mass. Okay. Wait. Okay. So what is this? What is this term? Half mi vi cm whole square. So you can write it as, this is kinetic energy, okay, with respect to the center of mass, C frame. This is what? Kinetic energy with respect to same frame. Plus, what is this? Summation I. So it will be applicable to this. Summation I 1 to n mi. It will be total mass. That is half total mass into what? V center of mass whole square. So it is kinetic energy of the center of mass. Okay, what will it will give? Plus summation I equals to 1 to mi vi center of mass, okay, dot v center of mass. This is, so this turns out to be what? 0. Why 0? Because this is the momentum of total momentum with respect to the center of mass, and we know that total momentum of this system is equal to the what? P total is equal to P center of mass. We have already discussed, and P center of mass in center of mass frame is 0. So this turns out to be 0. So we can write that T L frame is equals to TC frame. This was T of center of mass. Okay. So you can use this also for the kinetic energy. So we have seen the transformation of physical quantities from laboratory frame to C frame. So this is not over yet. Okay, we have to see many applications, many illustrations, example based on these scenes. Also, this is more useful in the collision that we will see in the next lecture. So it is a very basic introduction about the conversion, how we will convert these things. Okay. Okay, now let's move to the next topic, that is conservation of momentum. But before getting into the conservation of momentum, I want to spend few minutes for the momentum. What do we mean by momentum, right? So momentum is basically mass multiplication with its instantaneous velocity. Remember one thing, momentum is always defined instantaneously, right? Momentum is always defined instantaneously. Okay. So what does momentum means? So momentum can be mathematically written as P equals to mv. So clearly from this you can state that direction of momentum is what? In the direction of velocity. So suppose this is velocity vector. So momentum will be this, mass time multiplication, and we know that mass is positive quantity here. Okay. Also we can define momentum for relativistic objects also, right? For relativistic object, momentum can also be define. Okay. Also, from de Broglie hypothesis, we also know that matter has what? Wave-like characteristics. So maybe we cannot define the what do you say, the mass of a wave. Also for the photon, light, we cannot define the mass of photon. Rest mass of the photon is 0. But we can define the momentum. So momentum is very basic. Momentum is very basic, right? Also, we can define it for what? Matter wave also. Also, photon also, right? So momentum can be defined. Okay. One more thing. Momentum, if its mass is m and is traveling with v velocity, its momentum can be written as mv. And it's of much significance. And it is, what can I say? Momentum of the particle matters, not its velocity or its mass alone. So if we write the mass alone, if we write the velocity alone, so it doesn't make much significance. For example, suppose you are here, okay, and I am throwing a cotton ball at a speed of 100 meter per second. Will it hurt you? No. Cotton ball, very small mass. If I throw a stone, higher mass, with 0.0001 meter per second, will it hurt you? No. If I shoot a bullet, we know that bullet mass is very less and its velocity is very high, right? Ultimately, mass into velocity, its momentum is very high. Its momentum is very high. And if I shoot bullet to you, you know the consequences, right? So it's the momentum that basically matters for any collision, for any attraction, for any effect, right? Also, this signboard you have seen in highway, they draw car, they draw truck, and car limit is, let's suppose, 30 meter per second, let's suppose, but car limit is 20 meter per second only. Why? So if any accident occurs or collision occurs, they were able to cope up with that collision. If the velocity range for this truck will be high, then its momentum will very high. Okay, so this, I want to say that momentum has many significance. We'll also see that in coming illustration. So this is all about the momentum. One more thing that I want to force is impulse and impulsive force. So for a better local understanding, moment you can feel, moment is like चोट. जिस चीज से जितनी ज्यादा चोट लग सकती है, उसकी उतनी ज्यादा मोमेंटम थी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कभी चेक करना हो कि किसकी मोमेंटम ज्यादा है या कम है, तो समझो कि वो चीज आकर तुमसे कोलाइड कर रही है. सो इन दिस वे यू कैन see the beauty of momentum. Okay, for impulse and impulsive force, we have to write down certain things. Impulse is basically change in momentum. Yes. Nothing can be said that impulse acts for a less time or anything. No, impulse is simply the change in momentum, nothing else. Okay, that what we call झटका, this impulsive force is that, right? तो कभी छत से कूदने पे जो झटका लगता है, या किसी चीज को जोर से मारो कम टाइम के लिए, तो वो जो टाइम वाला पर्सपेक्टिव है वो इस फोर्स के लिए, that we will see. But impulse is what? Similarly, mathematically we can write it as J is equals to delta P. Yes, this is what we mean by impulse, simply. Okay, what is impulsive force? Force acting for a very small interval, or you can say that change in momentum occurs in a very short interval of time, right? Or you can say that change in momentum occurs in very small interval of time. So one more thing, here you can write this also, integration f dt. No, sorry, what I'm writing here, f dt. Okay, so this is basically impulse. Okay, cool. This is impulsive force. Now let us understand the situation. For example, a ball hits the ground, and after hitting it rebounds back. Okay, let's suppose this. For example, it comes with 10 meter per second and it also goes with 10 meter per second. Mass of the block is 1 kg. So its initial momentum, taking this as positive and taking this as negative, is what? Minus 10 meter per second. Sorry, minus 10 kg meter per second, and its PF is 10 kg meter per second. So if we write the delta P, that is equals to J, right? And it will be equals to 20 kg meter per second. So 20 kg meter per second impulse is not very large, but what we can do, if we find the force and we restrict that the time for which it impacted the ground for the collision is very less, for example 0.001, that is for example 10 to power minus 4 second. What is the force? 10 upon 10 to power minus 4, so it will become 10 to power 5 newtons. Now it's a very large force, and this is the impulsive force which we are talking about. So if a collision occurs, right, we know that if two body collides, collision occurs in their line of impact. We will see in next lecture, don't worry about this, just see this. So if the two bodies collide with each other and the time is very small, so we can say that the force acting on it is impulsive force. And what we try to do, we try to increase this, sorry, decrease the impulsive force in due course of time. Okay, so this is all about impulse and impulsive force. I hope it's clear for you. But you have to note down impulsive force are of great order, very. Okay, now come to the conservation of momentum. So what do we understand by this conservation of even momentum? Before discussing conservation of momentum, I want to tell its importance. It is so basic in nature. It is so basic in nature that we will derive it from Newton's law, but it is applicable there also where Newton's laws are not applied, right? So you can write it as applied there also where Newton's laws of motion are not applicable. I will not comment much on this portion. We will see in later modules also. But whenever we work with the large size of object, there also conservation of momentum is valid. When we working with the small size object, subatomic particle, there also momentum is conservation of momentum is valid. When you talk about the light, there also conservation of momentum is valid. When you talk about any object, relativistic object, there also conservation of momentum is valid. So this is very basic in nature, right? So let us see from the second law perspective. Okay, so from second law we can write it from Newton's second law. We can write it that F external is equals to dp net, and this is also the center of mass, is also the dp of center of mass. We have just defined that net sorry, what we have defined, that the net momentum of the system of particle is equal to the momentum of the center of mass, right? And if external is 0, what will happen? This p center of mass, this p center of mass equals to p net will become constant. Will become constant. And this is what we known as conservation of momentum. What if no external forces acts on a system, then its linear momentum is conserved. Also, I want to state one thing also. We have studied till now for the what we say, constant mass system. We haven't studied anything for the variable mass system, but it is valid for the variable mass system also, right? It is so basic in nature that I forgot to state earlier. It is valid for also a variable mass system that we will see in the rocket motion in next chapter, next lecture, sorry. Okay, so we have come to this conclusion. And what is this? If you want to write, you can write it as that m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus m3 v3, so on. Mn vn is constant. Now try to understand one thing. V1 may vary. Sorry. V1 may vary. Okay. So V1 may vary, V2 may vary, V3 may vary, Vn may vary. Also, kinetic energy of the individual particle may vary. But the summation of all these terms will remain same. For example, let us suppose we have a plus q charge, let's suppose mass m, two identical charge system, right? Separated at a distance r. After some time, what will happen? It will move to here. It will also move to here, right? It will go with some velocity. Here both of the particle are at rest. Suppose this contain the v1 speed, this will have v2 speed. The software is getting very nuisance today. Okay, so what we can say, if we have two particles with us, two charged particle with us, and if we leave them to move, what will happen? They will move in opposite direction, and ultimately their what, v1 v2 will change, and that ultimately lead to that kinetic energy will change of the system also. But one thing what we can do, momentum of the system, or you can say center of mass, will remain what? Constant. Will remain always constant, no matter whatever the speed they acquire. Let's suppose its mass is m, its mass is also m. After a certain interval of time, it acquires a speed of 10 meter per second. Then it will also acquire the same 10 meter per second. So both of them will cancel out each other. And what is the initial momentum that was at rest? So it will remain at rest, because the forces acting on them are the electrostatic force, and that are internal there. Okay. Also, I want to make one thing clear also. M1 plus A1 plus M2 plus A2 and so on. Mn plus An is 0. Yes. But these individual A1, A2, An, A1, A2 up to An may vary. Not vary. May not 0. Okay. They need not to be 0. This equation needs to be 0 because acceleration of center of mass is 0. So what we can say that here, if F external is 0, then what? P center of mass is constant. A of center of mass is constant. V of center of mass is constant. Right. So we can conclude these points when we say the force on external force is 0, right? And we know that collision is an internal process. We will see in coming chapters. So what? Momentum will remain conserved. So when momentum will remain conserved, V of center of mass will be what? Constant. So we can treat it as inertial frame. So it is better to see collision in center of mass perspective. C frame. Right. So it's better to see the collision in C frame, because in collision it's an internal process, momentum will remain constant, so it will behave as what? Inertial frame, if we talk about the C frame. Okay, so this is about the conservation of momentum. Let us see some of the advantages of this, or illustration of this. Before going further, let me take one special case. Special case because most of the internal collision like bomb blasting and molecule disintegration are where V initial of center of mass is 0. This is the special case. Initially, the center of mass is at rest. Okay, we will see this. So if now F external is 0, then what will P of center of mass is constant or conserved? We know that. But what we can conclude here also, if there is no change in momentum and its initial velocity is 0, then its final velocity of center of mass will always be 0. Sorry, also be 0. Always is also true. If initial velocity is 0, then final velocity is 0, provided net external force acting on it is 0. Okay, and this will create a very good question. Wait, let's see. Bomb explosion. Bomb explosion. Okay, let us try to see the bomb explosion part, because it was already asked in UPSC one question based on this, and you need to write certain things. So it was given that, for example, a bomb is here. Okay, need not to be circular. And what happened after a certain interval of time, it explodes. And what happened, for example, it was of 5 kg. Okay, so this is 2 kg, this is 2 kg, and this is 1 kg. So what happened, this 2 kg blocks moves this side with 10 meter per second, and this 2 kg block move above vertically upward with 5 meter per second. So we need to find out where this block goes, right? So come to the solution part. Try on your end. I'm sure you will able to solve this. This is a very common, or you can say this is a very easy question for the conservation of momentum. We know that we have to apply the conservation of momentum, but let me tell you one thing. Explosion was an internal process. Okay, so force external in this case will be what? 0. Due to explosion, force to explosion, better to write, will be what? 0. First thing first, this. Also, V initial of center of mass is 0. So these two things are given in the question itself. Now we have two directions, and we are going to work on this for x-axis. Let's suppose, let this as x-axis, this as y-axis, this as z-axis. For x-axis, what we can write? If we see this bomb, there is only one force acting on it, that is mg downward, and that is equals to what? Almost equals to 9.8 into 5, it's 4.9 Newton, almost equals to. Okay, it's equals to 4.9 Newton. For x-axis, there is no force acting, so we write it as F net in x-axis is 0. So we can see that P net in x-axis is 0. So we can write it that P net is what? delta p net. So what we can write, initial momentum is what? Momentum is conserved. Yeah, delta p net in x is what? 0. So pi x is equals to pf x. See it properly. You have to write these things in your examination. So initial momentum equals to final momentum when net momentum is conserved. When net delta p is 0, that what force external means, that is equals to what? Pi is equals to pf. So you can write like this also. Is f net is 0, that means net is force, that is if net force is 0, delta p is 0, that is pi equals to pf. So we can write it as pix is what? 0. And what is pfx? So we have three objects. So this is into I cap, this is 0 and this is 1. So 2 into 10 I cap plus 0 plus 1 into Vx. Let's suppose this 1k particle moves with Vx and Vy. When we need to find the Vx and Vy. Okay. So what we can write, 2 into 10. So from here we can write it Vx is equals to minus 20 I cap. I know you can easily find it. It's very easy for you. For y-axis, what will be the F net? So F net is minus 4.9 Newton. It's true. Momentum is not conserved. Momentum is not conserved. But we can say one thing here, that F of explosion is much greater than 4.9 Newton. I think you know that, right? When a bomb blast, the force that make it blast is much larger than that this 4.5 Newton, that is 5g. If you are unable to find this, you have to see the impulsive force, because I have discussed about the in impulsive force. So what we can do, just before explosion and just after explosion, momentum will not change much. So we can write it also like that pi in y direction is almost equals to pf in y direction when we are adding just before and just after collision. From here you can write it as 0, right? 2 into 20 j cap 0 plus, no, it's 5 plus 1 into Vy. So you will get Vy equals to minus 10 j cap easily. Okay. Okay. So you will get the velocity of particle at minus 20 I minus 10 j cap. So here you have applied the concept of momentum conservation in x direction, because no force were acting on the x direction, but in y direction you have applied the concept of impulsive force, because the force is so large than the gravitational force that you can assume that the momentum will not change much, and you have applied this. Okay. Let's move to one question. suppose we have a gun here and a bullet is fired. Okay, and this is the mass of the gun mg and this mass of the bullet mb, and v naught is the muzzle velocity. Okay, and this is on this track, and this track is frictionless. Okay, and this angle is theta given. Okay, and we need to find the recoil velocity. We need to find the recoil velocity. So what we can do? What we can do? So in x direction, momentum is conserved. Because here also only force acting, external force acting on it is what? Is gravitational force itself. Okay. Now, baki rest of the forces are internal in this. So what we need to study, why I have given this question? First, understand the meaning of muzzle velocity. Muzzle velocity, sorry, muzzle velocity, velocity relative to that of gun. Okay, and recoil velocity is what? Velocity in lab frame, right? The velocity with which gun move backward is known as recoil velocity, and this velocity is given in lab frame. Okay, so first let's suppose this is the gun, this moves with vg, and we are writing in lab frame. So we are writing it in lab frame. Also, bullet will have velocity equals to what? V naught cos theta minus Vg, and here V naught sin theta. You can easily take the component. And so if momentum is conserved in x direction, what we need to write? Initial momentum was what? 0. This was pi. And what is the final momentum here? Mass of bullet into v cos theta minus vg minus mass of gun, because it's moving in this direction, vg, and we are treating this direction as positive and this direction as negative, let's suppose. So from here we can find out the vg, recoil velocity of the gun. So this will become mb v naught cos theta minus mb plus mg into vg. So here we have find out vg. What? Velocity of gun equals to mass of bullet v naught cos theta upon mass of bullet plus mass of gun. So what I'm trying to say in these types of questions, that you should write in conclusion the limitations. Whenever you're writing these things, if you get this question in your examination, just started by saying what do you mean by conservation of momentum, Okay, then come to the equation part. That's pi equals to pf. Then solve the equation and then write the limitations. We can apply conservation laws, conservation of momentum in x direction, but we are unable to apply this in vertical direction because gravitational force is acting there. Okay, so these are the some questions based on the conservation of momentum. We will see more questions in coming lectures, but I want to show you some C frame spring. One question. I want to discuss C frame spring. That's one. We will discuss two questions based on this. Let's discuss this question. Suppose you have two masses, m1 and m2, and if we have given v0 to m2, so we have to find extension and spring. So maybe you have done this in your lower classes from ground frame of reference, or maybe from center of mass frame of reference, but here we want to find it from center of mass frame of reference. So in C frame, what we can write? In C frame, what we can write? Also, you can find out the velocity of center of mass here. What it will be? It will be m2 v0 upon m1 plus m2. This is the velocity of C frame. Velocity of center of mass in what? Lab frame. We know that. Okay. So in C frame, what will you observe? Let's suppose this is center of mass. You are sitting here. Okay. And what will you observe? That this is your velocity. Okay. So what will be the velocity of m2 block? And what will the velocity of m1 block? So velocity of m1 block, v1 center of mass is what? Let's suppose this is in I cap, right? v1 minus v center of mass. So what will you get here? In center of mass frame, this will become minus m2 v0 m1 plus m2 I cap. So it will move with velocity this m2 v0 m1 plus m2 and this minus x direction. What will be the v2 center of mass? What will be the v2 center of mass? The velocity of second block, which is center of mass, it will be v2 minus v of center of mass, and that it will become what? v2 is what? v0 I cap minus m2 v0 I cap upon m1 plus m2. If you solve this, m1 v0 m2 v0 will cancel out. It will become m1 v0 I cap upon m1 plus m2. Okay. So from here we notice that this it will become m1 v0 upon m1 plus m2. So what the center of mass will observe? So from center of mass, both objects will oscillate. What happened? From the center of mass, both particles will try to oscillate. How it will try to oscillate? For example, you are sitting here and at the center of mass, and this is going in this direction, this is going in this direction, and you are sitting here and you know no net force is acting on it. So what you will observe, for a certain interval of time, this will come to rest and this will also come to rest after certain interval of time, right? And this will be the maximum elongation, right? So what the center of mass observer is seeing, that the two of the blocks are going in to and fro motion, right? They are going in to and fro motion, and they are moving with this velocity at the initial instant, right? So it will go, it will become zero, and then it will opus turn out to be this. So we can find the maximum elongation here, like half kx maximum square. So energy stored in the potential form, and it will be equals to the net kinetic energy. So it will be half m1 v1 with respect to center of mass whole square plus half m2 v2 with respect to center of mass whole square. So you have to solve this equation and find out the x center of mass. We have already find out v1 center of mass and v2 center of mass. Also, we will solve this using reduced mass concept in next lecture. Okay. One more thing. What will happen if we apply some force on it? Let's suppose this as m1, this as m2. What happen when if we supply force on it and still we find the maximum elongation? Okay, so I want you to solve it as homework, because you should do some part on your own also. This is frictionless table, and I will give you hint. I will not solve this, but I will give one hint for this. Use C frame, okay, plus use work energy theorem that we have studied earlier. Okay, you will come to know as when you watch this from the center of mass, then you have to apply some pseudo force on it, because here acceleration of center of mass is what? F1 upon m1 plus m2, right? We will discuss when we discuss about the pseudo forces in coming chapters. Just I want to make you brainstorm on this question. So what is acceleration A here? F1, sorry, F, not F1, F upon m1 plus m2. So center of mass is non-inertial here. What I'm trying to say that typically center of mass is inertial when we study the collision, but it need, but when the whole system is accelerating, when the center of mass itself is accelerating, when the center of mass frame is non-inertial in nature, still it is helpful to solve certain type of problem. So try to solve this problem. We will discuss when we are discussing with the pseudo forces, right? Okay, so I want to conclude this chapter. Not this chapter is finished. In conservation momentum we have left with. So in next lecture, don't understand that we have completed the collision, sorry, center of mass. We have something left, that is two body problem. That is reduced mass. So we will study this also. Okay, and variable mass system, rocket and all. So in next lecture we will study these things. Okay, also after this we will start studying collision. Okay, so next to next lecture we will start collision also. Okay, so in next week I will try to finish all these things. So what is the motto of today's lecture is to give you a simple understanding of the conservation of linear momentum. That will help also in the conservation of angular momentum, which we will see in later chapters. Also, what is your homework? Your homework is to complete DPT 3 and send it for the evaluation part. Okay. Thank you. Bye. We will meet next week.